Welcome to Tubbie Talk. We're a group of nerdy best friends hop online to talk about everything life, parenthood, gaming, and probably embarrass themselves. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to Tubbie Talk. We have a special episode today. It is all about the fathers, the dads, the padres.
Yeah.
There's only two of us in the four squad, so here is my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the dad himself, Trevor.
Hello. That was quite the interesting intro,
I
but I'm
gassed
here.
you up.
Oh man.
Thanks for joining us, though, on this special Father's Day episode. It's just going to be us two. We're going a little off the script today. Not really too much of an outline. Just want to get some fun, unfiltered thoughts and experiences going between us. So
Let's be clear. I'm never on script. It's you have the outlines. Okay, this is just ready for me.
I mean, I think this is going to be good. You have no idea what's coming, so
Yeah.
I'm excited. First off, happy Father's Day to any fathers out there. Trevor and I are both fathers ourselves, so we're excited to finally be able to partake. Well, Trevor had a couple of years already under his belt, but
I have it all mastered now. We're fine.
this is my first time joining the father gang. So
This is your first Father's Day, right?
it is
Yeah,
absolutely.
big day. Happy Father's Day.
So hopefully I don't just have to work slave away all day, but we'll see. It's kind of what a father is.
Yeah, slave. But yeah, there you go. A father is a slave. All right, end of episode.
All right, Danny said it himself. No, but a couple things we'll be doing today is we'll just talk over the basics of like what a father is, what we think a father is, what like society thinks a father is. We'll talk about what we were before and after fatherhood, and just go into a little bit of fun with like some couple of dad jokes, maybe a couple of things we've learned being fathers per se. So
Yeah.
all right,
Learned
let's
so
jump right in.
much.
Let's dive in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So do you have questions?
No, not too many, but I'll ask a
Okay.
couple. Okay, so what I think the first thing we should do is like let's define fatherhood.
Okay.
What does it mean to you?
But me? I go first? I
Well,
think
I have
oh
to ask the
man.
questions. So.
Oh yeah, okay. Just I mean, like when you think of a father, I think most of the time you think of a dad, but like also like a dad that's there for you and like who's like supportive, protects the house, takes care of the family, fixes things, like and a masculine. I do think of like dads as masculine, right? Like it's definitely a feature I think is in there, and I don't know. But what about you, Danny? What do you got? Some attributes in there?
No, I agree. I think it's a lot of it's about being the provider, the protector, being there for your kids. Sometimes being the bad cop, per se. But I think it
Discipliner?
also is portions of, being the jokester, trying to have some fun with the kids. You can be the prankster sometimes. I think fathers serve a lot of roles, so I think it'll be cool to talk about it today. But I'm glad to talk about masculinity because I think there is a little bit of a crossover between like what a man does and what a father does, what the difference is between them sometimes. But yeah, I think the first thing that I want to start off doing is maybe just talk a little bit about our experiences before becoming fathers and then
Yeah.
experiences after becoming fathers. So give me like, I don't know, maybe if you were to think about the 10 years prior to you becoming a father, what would
Like still with
you
Kennedy, but with like so because I'm a little older than 10.
you can talk about before Kennedy if you want to, but just in
So like
general, like
what did I think of
what is
okay.
your experience that you remember before being a father, and what were like some of the big, I don't know, pinpoints of not being a father that you kind of, now that you have hindsight's 2020 obviously, so now that you have some experience, now that you can see what it is on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll start with is like I kind of always pictured myself being a dad at some point. Like, I want to ask you that question too. Like, did you see yourself becoming a father at some point?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. See, like I knew like that's where my path was, especially once I met Kennedy. But like some of the some of the differences I think now is like I truly have no free time. Like that's just it does not, especially having two little ones. Like I have no free times. Like I don't think I was like a fatherly figure before I was a father very much. Like I think I
Mm.
was a husband figure, but I don't think I was really someone that was like um I don't picture myself as someone that looked up to. Like I'm the jokester, so like I didn't picture myself as like a leadership role. So like now that I am in the father role, like I do have to like have some. I feel like I'm still learning to like how to lead, and I'm because like when I did lead when I was a captain or in like workplace or wherever like that, I led by example a lot of times. Like I really wanted to be a hands on like let's do that. So like I don't even know if I'm answering the question. I feel like I'm rambling, but like I picture myself being a father, but I don't know how I've trained to be a father. Did you like prepare to be a father? Did you do something to get ready?
I mean, it's interesting because I think if I think back, I think I did prepare a lot, you know, in terms of like to become a husband. Like I remember reading certain books and like going over certain things like, okay, this is what I
Mm-hmm.
need to fix about myself and change in order to prepare for, I don't know, like just being the best husband I can be. I think in terms of a father, I was kind of just like, well, I know I want to have kids, and I think it's just like it's one of those things where it's interesting because I think I had an idea of what I wanted to do and be as a father, but at the same time, I feel like most of it just comes down to maturity level,
Mm-hmm.
like preparedness, right? If like you want to make sure you're ready to have a kid, like if you want
Right.
it, right? That's the main thing, honestly, is like if you're really ready and want to have a kid, then like that's kind of like the biggest stepping stone you kind of need to
It's the
overcome.
motivation, right?
100%, because like there's
Hopefully
some
there's like
tough long nights in there, sleepless
yeah.
nights.
I haven't slept in my bed in the last 3 nights, bro.
There's definitely some sacrifices that must be made. So I think that as long as you're ready to do that, obviously being a father, there's tons of joy that comes from having kids. But I think if you're not ready to have that sacrifice, then
Right.
you might not be ready to be a
Which
father
is
just yet.
like you can't even explain like I couldn't I so when you ask me that question I'm like I can't explain it because like the difference from having someone that ultimately depends yes you have most of the time the mom's in the picture and I Kennedy's in the picture right like you have that other person to rely on and like you're a team but like there is someone now that relies on you to live and so like you can't really explain to people that don't have kids like what life is like now that you have a kid. Does that make like it was
Yeah.
a quick switch from having like an anticipation of excitement to like almost like a sense of worry and stress all the time.
The sense
Like
of
I
dread.
sense of dread. And like with the eldest one, right? I would check his breathing like all the time
Yeah.
all the time. I was constantly worried about something happening to him, like protecting him, making sure he was taken care of. Just constant stress is fear. If you want to talk about father, like the biggest thing I can say is stress and fear. Okay, that's and maybe that's just me, but I don't know. Can you relate to that
I
right
mean, I
now?
can relate, I think I don't have that many gray hairs yet, but the ones that I do have are from the stress of like, oh, is she alive? Is she okay? Is she taken care of? Is she fed? Is she,
Yeah.
there's so much that like you have to really
Did
worry
you
about.
have that feeling with Sierra though? As because
Oh
I
yeah,
like
I was like, is she okay? Is she fed?
is
Is
she
she
alive? Is she breathing? Is she? But no, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I have a protective energy for Kennedy, right? Like, I want to protect her, keep her safe. But like, I also know she's an adult and capable herself. So like,
Right, right.
it's a lot different of a love for Kennedy than it is for my kids.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. I think honestly, if I was to compare it, like I remember my parents gave me a fish pretty young, and like I remember feeling obviously very different, very like lower scales, but I remember feeling this like same sense of like, oh my gosh, like I need to feed this thing or it's gonna die, like, or I need to
Right.
like change its filter or whatever, I'm gonna change the tank. I think like that idea is pretty interesting and cool that I experienced that pretty young. I like the idea of giving your kid a pet to look after, because I think it's pretty interesting. It does give a lot of responsibility and growth
Mhm.
from it, but I think that there is ultimately nothing you can do that will. I mean,
Prepare you
it's a
for
one of a
everything.
kind experience, right? It's like you only
Yeah.
go through giving birth to a kid once and being a father to them and taking care of them and providing for them, and just, yeah, the experience is one in a million. There's no other thing that can replicate it, but I think it's
Man.
definitely something that we're gonna try to explain in this episode. So
Oh yeah, we're doing great so far. You brought up like sacrifice earlier, and like it. Yes, I make sacrifices of every day, pretty much. Right? I don't get to see him. I have to go to work. I have to take care of that. I have to come home. I have to clean. I have to take care of things. Kind of because Kennedy's doing the same thing all day long, right? So like every day I have to sacrifice something. But I don't. I think sacrifice is a strong word in the sense because I don't feel like I'm giving up something. Like it's almost like I'm giving something in that sense.
right, right.
Like I'm happy to do all those things. Yes, there's always times where it's like, oh my gosh, I have to clean the kitchen time this week. Like I'm so sick of it. But like in the long run, like just being around your family, like the kids and your wife, and like it's the biggest blessing ever. So like you can just have a dance party while you clean or something. Like that's like if you can find that happy balance, it's not really a sacrifice, is what I'm trying to say.
No, absolutely. I think it was just like, if you think about, like we were talking, like if you contrast life prior, whether it was single or even just like in a relationship, to now, I think that's the biggest thing, is like if you compare those two, people think, oh, doing all those extra things, that sounds like a sacrifice. So
Right.
I agree. I think that honestly, you have to have a different mindset going into it. I think I learned that even more from just the beginning of a marriage, right? It's like
Right.
you're not only thinking about yourself, like you're also thinking of the other person. That is kind of, that sacrifice in and of itself is more of just what you do now. Like it's
Right.
required of you. It's just something that is done all the time. Um, well, that's interesting. I think for me personally, I think before I was a father, I think it's funny because I thought of myself as pretty mature and like pretty
Mhm.
adult.
Yeah.
Before I was like, yeah, I'm married. I got a good
Yeah,
job.
dude.
I'm like, I'm living a decent life. I'm
I'm
like,
adulting.
I'm paying my taxes on time. I know how to work a power tool. Like,
Woo!
I can do an adult thing. I can change my oil if I want to. I can go on a vacation whenever I want.
Yeah,
Like,
I can change my oil if I want to. I don't think that's a want. I think you just need to do that. Whether it's you or somebody else, just check your oil.
but I think there's just things that I thought in a different, almost gravity of like, oh yeah, this is the peak of being an adult. After you give birth to a kid, not, again, it's not us giving birth, but like after you have a kid, right? It's one of those things where it's just a different level of responsibility, and I think that
Yeah.
that idea of they rely on you for everything, whether it's
Everything.
only like, it's not only just like keeping them alive with like food and water and changing their diaper and stuff, but it's also like teaching them, like they don't know
Yep.
anything when they come out of the womb, and you're like, you got to literally raise them
You
all
have
the
to
way
teach
up.
them everything.
So I
Yeah.
think there's that responsibility as well, that also, that almost weighed heavier on me. Well, okay, it was pretty even. The first month or so, I was really worried about keeping the baby alive, but
Yeah, that's kind of the
now
focus.
that
They're
she's
not
grown up a
learning.
little bit, it's starting to become more of like oh, like now
Yeah.
you gotta teach him stuff.
I
So
remember like with the eldest one, as we kind of got to those stages where like people are talking about like they're supposed to talk or like supposed to walk and stuff like that. It's again stress because you inevitably compare yourself to others. And Kennedy did this all the time, and I always would had to be like the person that was like, no, it's okay. Eventually he's gonna get this. We're gonna work harder at this. We're gonna figure it out because like a part of our job as a father is to make sure that, there's peace in the house a little bit.
hmm,
And so like if Kennedy's stressed about this one thing, then you might have to step up a notch to try to help with your misses on that one. And like for the eldest kid, if you're dreading training on how to do them, then you're gonna have to spend extra time to try to figure out what you need to teach them and where maybe to get them there. Eventually, because ultimately, eventually, kids gonna learn how to walk. The kid's gonna get teeth. The kid's gonna learn how to talk. The kid's gonna learn how to count colors, all that. That's pretty,
Absolutely.
yeah. So like, don't stress too much out over that. But it's still you're responsible for the education. You're gonna have to do it.
It's not only the
So,
education too. I think the thing that stresses me out more is learning how to teach them like morality.
mm,
Morality, like religion, like all
yeah,
of this. It's difficult. It's hard to understand, especially in a. I mean, people agree all the time now that like the world is just crazy now. Like so much is going on. Like there's just between like cell phones and just overstimulation and just easy access to anything. It's crazy like how much knowledge you have at your fingertip at the same time. Like it's also a lot of evil out there, so it's really tough. I'm not gonna say that we have the hardest job ever, but that it's the hardest
it's
time ever now.
definitely
No
we are
generation ever says
saints.
that we are the greatest generation, but I do think it's gonna be it's interesting. It's definitely obviously with technology always expanding and evolving, there's always new things to be worried about, but yeah, I think it's
That's a
not gonna
big
be easy.
Yeah, that's a big thing I think about too, is like how do you keep your kiddo on the straight and narrow? It's straight and
Straight and
narrow,
narrow.
right? I always want to say straight and arrow, like,
How do
okay.
you keep them on a straight arrow?
How to keep them on a straight arrow. But yeah, how do you keep them, like focused on God, focused on family, positivity, and just, maintaining healthy relationships and healthy lifestyle like that? Because like you can tell them, and even at like a 3 years of age, like you can tell them and they just don't listen. So like, how do you get your kid like to actually listen to you? And a lot of people
Yeah,
will be like, well, it's having good relationships with them, listening to them, not being quick to anger, not being quick to shout, being patient and like all these things. But I feel like even if I've mastered all of those, which I haven't, I still feel like the kid's gonna rebel. Hey, before we get too far in here, do you remember when you were visiting when it was just the one kiddo we had, and
uh-huh.
then we were like I was saying we had to go grocery shopping, and you're like, well, how long do we have? Like we were gonna leave the kid alone at home, and then all four of us were gonna go. Do you remember that?
I mean, to be fair, I still think that like I think we could
No,
have pulled
don't
it. I
ever
think we
do
could have
that.
pulled it off. I think
Yeah. Uh huh. Imagine if that was
uh
your kid, and I was like, yeah, so we're just gonna leave her here and just go, just.
I mean, there is like a level of like I know some people just like put their kid down and they'll like go do laundry real quick if it's like
Whoa.
a couple doors down or whatever. But like yeah, I didn't really have the full understanding of I thought, oh, once they're down, they're out. They're never waking up again.
But to get in your
Like you set
car
a
and leave the
timer. Okay.
building. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's how that works. Oh
That
yeah,
is crazy. Again, it's one of those things where it's like if you look back on it, like
yeah.
that feels like a different me,
I wanted to
different
follow
time.
up too on one thing you said, like you look back and you think you're so mature. Like I've had that happen to me like every 3 years for like the past 12 years. Like when I hit 21, I was like, man, I was dumb. At 18, I was dumb. And then I got 24. I'm like, what was I thinking?
Hmm.
And it still happens. I'm like, why would I ever do that? And so like I feel like that's just part of that thing because everyone goes through life, once.
Yeah.
Like everyone learns. This is everyone's first experience, regardless of where you're at in life. It's your first time probably going through it. And so like I think you're always gonna have that feeling. Like, even when I hit like 40 and 50, I'd be like, I'll look back right like at this moment, I'm like, man, I was dumb. I had no understanding
Yeah.
of
It's
whatever.
almost bound to happen. I mean, like you said, people learn at different rates. So some people will reach different levels of maturity at different times, understand different things, and wisdom itself is very almost. I don't want to say it's completely like partial and like, but it is a thing. Like life experience does differ, and it does actually mean a lot once you get to certain ages.
Yeah.
So, have you heard of like some? There's different aspects and different. I think websites call it different things, but like, have you heard of like the P's of being fatherhood? Some have three, some have five, some have a couple more.
Like the P's, patience. I guess that's the only one I got in there.
Well, I
It's
think yeah, I think I don't even think that's the main one. Think about I think there's two that really a lot of them revolve around like what a father does.
Parent.
I think like think specific to a father.
And they all start with P.
And they're not silent P's either.
Plan.
No, I don't think. I do not think plan is something that fathers do very well most of the time.
No, so you're gonna have to give them to me. I don't know. Besides patience and
I think the main things that I've seen online is provide. A lot of people talk about fatherhood providing, which I agree, and protect. I think those
yeah,
are the two. Those are the two big ones. I think those are the ones that people really have created this P culture for fathers. Like, but I added a couple more on myself. Not really added. I stole from different nooks and
Well, let's break it
crannies.
down. What do you mean by provide?
Well, let me name them all, and then we'll talk
Oh,
about
okay,
them.
okay, all right.
And I was
It's like the
curious if you
five.
had different ones. So you talked about patience.
Okay.
I agree. I think patience is probably my number 3. I think in addition to providing, protecting, and being patient and teaching your kids patience is almost preparing them. So like teaching them, and training them, maybe disciplining them, preparing them for the world, life, a spouse one day. Then a lot of people talked about permanence and being present. So that was an interesting one. So
Mm.
I don't know. I just wanted to know your thoughts. Do you think anything? Do you have any
I
other
don't know that
P
many
words
P
you think would fit
words. What are
into?
we? I'm trying to think. Like pterodactyl. Like what is teach him
To
about
be a father, you
dinosaurs?
must be a
Yeah.
pterodactyl. Ah!
Uh, that's a crow. I have no idea what pterodactyls sound like. I don't know.
I don't think many people do, but
I think that's a pretty good list of P's. I mean, what play? You got to teach them how to play though
that's a
too.
good one.
Like
That's
have
cool. We'll add it
because
to
I
our
think of
list. Be
like
the 6th
have
P.
P, the sixth P, because like I think it's important for like because I want to get to this later on, but like what is like some things that you want like your kids to take and learn from you and how you approached life, right? But like play for me is one of those things I wanted my kids to learn how to be like because like I do stress and I worry, but I am very easily like able to just to drop that and have fun and realize and be present like you were saying in the moment. So kind of like play goes along with presence, I think, like that, and just appreciate what you have, that kind of thing. What other piece do you have?
Well, I think those are like the main P's that I would say.
I
I
like
want
P's and
to.
Q's as
That's
well.
true. Gosh, we're just gonna go
Yeah,
down the alphabet, name all the important characteristics we
yeah,
need to have as a father. I just wanted to
yeah.
know, like, because I think obviously, like you talked about it earlier, that like society and being a man and being a father are kind of synonymous sometimes. And I want to know, I don't know, where would you rate some of these like qualities in a father, these P qualities specifically? Like I know different people rate them differently now because in some relationships,
Right.
providing isn't as necessary, or you know, how
I think
would
the
you
issue with
rate it and
providing
define
now
it?
is providing still might be number one for me. I think the difference is with providing now is that we live in a world where it's really hard for one parent to make a high enough income to provide for the family. So providing is not just something a father does, not just something one person in the household does anymore. It's almost like unless you have something where you came from wealth or something pre-lined or you are really prepared and providing needs to come from both parents at this point. And that's why I think it's still a huge part of fatherhood and I think it might be the best one. Protecting is just something, I don't know, it's always been so ingrained to me to like protect the house, take care of your family, like be observant. And that's something I learned from my dad. So you talk about like some things, like always be observant, look for these like things. So like that's something I kind of got from him, which I'm very thankful for. So like that's just kind of ingrained in me. So like it's way up there too. Patience is something I think whether you're a father or not, like you should always be working on. And so that actually, I think it's 3. So I think we're kind of lining up there. I think what other piece we have? Play. What was the other one we have?
Sure, play.
Plays next because I think so like right now at like the really young age, right? Like before they're 1 and even a little after, like they want mom most of the time, unless dad's like the stay-at-home parent. But they want mom because they're the source of food, this is source of comfort. That's what, they're kind of there for. So you really don't get that kid until they're like in the toddler phase. And so once then they're like yours. And like you are there to teach them how to roughhouse safely, play safely, be present. And that's some of the good memories you're gonna have is because you're gonna have that time. So like play for me is pretty high up there too. Cause like I really do enjoy and like the oldest one now is starting to like kind of learn to play on his own. So like I get to observe him a little bit and be like, okay, what's he
Gosh.
gonna do? Like, okay. And then he'll come up and do some funny, like he's doing this thing right now where he goes around and he's like, he's sad. So he'll go like this, but he looks like the Godfather. So I called him that the other day, and he just started calling everything the Godfather. So like Mama Godfather, like everything's the Godfather
Oh, he
now.
doesn't know. He doesn't know.
I love it.
That's so funny.
And then P's and Q's are on there too. You got to teach a kid how to be, nice. I would say respectful, but I don't know. I think we're lined up in the same way. The problem is they're all so important. They're all your job. Obviously you can have support through those, but that's all you. That's part of being a father. You got to teach them all these things.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
especially if you have a little boy, like I have two little boys, I'm gonna have to teach them how to protect as well. It's a little
yeah.
different for you in that sense since you have a girl. But like I would say, providing is still something you have to teach your like a little girl too. Because what if they never find anyone? They have to learn how to provide for themselves, right? So like that's still something. So like all these things are important for me. I have to now instill into my children.
There's a lot you have
That
to
way
do.
they learn and have life experience before I do and can just learn from my
Of course.
mistakes.
I think
And then
it's definitely interesting because I think when you talk about a lot of these things, I think it's tough, and a lot of people always talk about, oh, I want to do this a little differently than my parents, or I want to teach them this I learned later on in life, but it's tough because it's like you could only teach them so much, and sometimes they won't actually learn. So it's fun to have certain ideals and certain it's similar, like we said, like 3 years down the road, we're gonna be like, "Oh, look at us try to try
dumb
to
up.
teach them all about these idiots," or just so, what were they
They had no
thinking?
idea.
But in general, yeah, I definitely agree. I think when you think about providing, I know I think obviously a lot of people talk about like monetarily, obviously,
Mhm.
but I mean I think you could even provide in different ways. Like you were saying, you could provide them with fun. You could provide them with like good memories. You can provide them with a good family, right? That's not just because you provide money doesn't mean that you have them good family. Like I think it all depends. Like you have to cultivate a certain level of providing. I think protecting, I think is a classic father thing. I know like moms, obviously there's like the whole mama bear quote, right? Mothers are still protective, but like in general, I think like obviously guys, fathers being the overall protector of the whole house makes sense. And I think that not only does that mean like physically, I think mentally as well. Sometimes like fathers will take on more stress in some areas, whether it's like work or a certain burden sometimes, and try to protect the kids or the mother as well. I think in terms of play, it's really important. It's interesting because I think play differs a little bit depending on like what gender you have when you have a kid. Um,
Right.
because I'm not gonna be. I watched that Bluey episode where the where the kid is like calling out the dad in front of the mom, like, "Dad, you play with me too hard." Like,
Yep.
but I think play is
That will
important
be you.
regardless. Oh, it might be just breaking fingers left and right on accident.
Kaboom. I think your providing is like so overcompassing, right? Because you're 100% right on. It's more than, and dude, I don't know. You said a lot of good things, so I'm just like kind of thinking about them all. But like, I did like the protecting part of like mentally protecting too, because like that comes back to like your phone usage and stuff like that. How are you going to, be the bad guy in the sense that like you're telling your 10-year-old that they can't have a phone even though all their friends are? Right? You're telling your 10-year-old that in the future, like they can't use this AI thing because it's not appropriate because of things they can learn from it. Like we don't even know what's going to be in 10 years
Hmm.
and what kind of temptations or evils are going to be out there trying to assault your family in weird ways.
Yeah.
The mental thing too, like that's really something I think I struggle with because it's hard to protect like your family from certain mental strains. Like I try to like be respectful, but like there are certain times when there's people close to you that are hurting your family, and like where do you draw the line with the people that are close to you? Like enough's enough, and we need to set some boundaries. And that's I think a really hard thing as a father to do, and I think it kind of technically should fall back on you. I can't wait for the girls to listen to this episode and be like, you guys must hate us, think we're just sheep or something." Like, no, I think we both married pretty independent, strong women. I think we're both pretty, like, we know who we married. We married
Absolutely.
stubborn women that are gonna see this and yell at us. It's great. I'm so excited.
I think it is still just like, because again, it's not only just talking about our own like lives, it's more just in general. Like, I think that is the idea that I think a father should be. That's the ideal, right? And again, we'll talk a little bit more about like what we learned from our father specifically, but I think that personally, if I was to have a picture perfect family, I think the father being the protector and like every sense doesn't mean that he's the only protector, obviously, but like the fact that he should be the first line of defense, like he should be the first one to protect his family and to be the first one to like you said, like think of different ways that you can protect your family, like I think there's definitely different levels to it, but I think that is at the forefront of every father's mind to be the protector, at least that first line of defense.
Yeah, like there's been times where like something will happen and I'm at work and that kind of weighs on me. Because like I wasn't there. And like, okay, you don't need to beat yourself up, but it still weighs on you because like you weren't there and you should have been. And something could have happened worse in that sense than it actually was.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of like, I think fathers deal with a lot of weight. Ones that care, I think, deal with a lot of weight. Because like I don't think I'll ever be as good as I should be. And I don't think, I wish I made enough money to make it so Kennedy didn't have to work, right? That weighs on me. I wish I didn't have to work as much and I could be home more to help at high on the house more, right? I wish I was stronger physically to be more protecting. Like there's been times where I'm like, man, I should just do push-ups every single day. And I'll do it for 2, 3 weeks and then, or not even that, 2, 3 days, right? Let's be honest here, just opening the book, 2, 3 days. And then like, I'm already like, dude, I'm so tired with all this other stuff. And I can't even do that. So like, I guess I need more drive in certain things, but like, I don't think I'll ever be, and I think I'm a decent dad. Kennedy tells me okay, but like speaking from an internal thing, like I don't think I'll ever be as good as a dad as I want to be for my kids. I'm gonna try my damnedest to be that and work and play and be present, but I don't think I will ever be. And I'm not saying perfect, but like I don't think I'll ever be the best dad there is in the world.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I think it's important to, I mean, you have to have humility as well, right? You have to be able to assess where you are at, right? You have to be honest with yourself. You can't always be number one in everything. You can't always be the overachiever and everything. You got to be realistic. And I think that in order to improve, you have to look at your weaknesses and grow from there. I think perfection is obviously a lofty goal, and it's similar to the Christian walk, right? We're never going to be as exactly like Jesus was, or like God is. Like it's unachievable, um, at least without Him, right? And I think that we just need to be aware that that should still be the goal, though. Like we should still try to be like Him. We should still try to have this high standard for ourselves, or else we're never going to want to have that, right? And you have to have a goal, or else you're not going to have the motivation to get there. Um, Well, that was cool. That was a little fun breakdown of the P's of
The
fatherhood.
peas, yeah, a little bit.
You can add to yourself, share in the comments if you have more P's for us that you
I
think
want to hear more peas. I'm
fathers
missing
should
all the
have.
peas.
Could be anything else, if it's not only P's. I'm curious, but those are just the things that I was when I was doing
Poop.
a little a
Pee's
little
a poop. It's a
research.
pee.
Yeah,
You got to teach a kid how to use the
those are
restroom.
extremely important that a father should teach
Yeah,
them. So I did want to talk a little bit about, if you're comfortable talking about
I'm
just
good.
some, maybe a couple of fun, could be really cool, could be like growing opportunities you learned from your father specifically, and how
Mm.
that has transferred into um, specifically you becoming a father. So what memories do you have of your father being a father to you?
Oh man, I mean, I think Dad taught me one how I think Dad was really good at the protect and the provide. I think he's always done that for me and my brothers. He was also really good at the play. Right? I think he taught me like, I get some of my most of my sense of humor from, like, my father's side of the family, like, that's just he's so sarcasm, weird jokes, the jokes only I laugh at. I get that from him. The issue is now, like, he tries to make jokes now, and I'm like, Is this what I sound like to my
Just
family?"
wait, just
I'm
wait.
sorry, dad.
Yep.
But, like, yeah, he tried to he tried to impersonate Snoop Dogg.
Wait, I actually wanna oh, this sounds amazing.
And like it was recent, so like if you think of, and I will never. I think it was at like Christmas or something like that. And he was so aggressive. It wasn't that like it was, but like I'm
Whoa.
like Snoop Dogg's like
Yeah,
chill,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's not. But I'll remember that forever. I have a lot of good memories too of like going fishing and stuff like that. My dad took us out a lot, and I learned to shoot and stuff like that. But we also like my love for video games. I think ultimately stems from my father as well, because like I remember my brother and I when we were really young, dad, we had the PlayStation 1, and then dad like at night would unwind with like Resident Evil, like the very first one, or Resident Evil 2 or something like that. And with our in our house, we had like a balcony in our upper room that would look over the living room, like, and so Ken and I, my older brother, would sneak up and look over the ledge and like watch dad play, and then every once in a while, he's like, "Oh, you can't go to bed." And I just love that. So like, I think I got my, because it also like I'd watch him play, and I'm not saying this is good or bad. Listen, I don't know how old I was. I was definitely too young, but like I'd watch him play like the original Doom and stuff like that, and like I don't know, it was. I think that stems from there. So he really taught me how to play and have fun, and taught me how to protect and be observant. And there was another time where my dad was trying to be. He's going through training for, and I think I was like 12 or 13. Like
Uh-huh.
I was in he was training for his job as a jailer in a jail, and he needed to practice some like handcuff moves. And he used me and Ken as dummies to practice some
That's
moves and
amazing.
put us in handcuffs. But I have a lot of good memories. It's good to think about them and kind of reminisce for a little bit, because I don't know. I've always appreciated my relationship with my dad. Um, and I think it's been a pretty good one. So
It's cool though that you're able to like look back on it now and see how his certain attributes of of him doing certain things have transitioned into you and your love and your hobbies and how you become a dad. I think some of the best memories that I have with my dad is, man, I remember there's this one time it was a Boy Scout trip that we were going on. I can't remember if we were going fishing or something, but like we would all meet up and it was like at a fire pit. And the dads would give them, I think it was like the coming of age, the little gifts, the little memories, and my dad, was pretty quiet, pretty like humble, and he's like, "Well, I have this gift for you, my son. Coming of age." He just pulls out this big sword, and he's like, "This is yours." And I'm like, "Whoa!" All the boys are like, "Yeah, let's go." So I think it was definitely like super random, but like super. That's just my dad, man. He's so great. He doesn't always know exactly the perfect thing to get, but at the same time, it is the perfect thing to get at the time. So it was just so good.
is your dad good at telling stories?
He is surprisingly. He does set it up. I think he's not. English isn't his first language, so it's not super natural, but he's still a good storyteller.
Yeah. That's one thing I struggle with. Dad's a great storyteller on my side too. Like I'm like, because one of my favorite things are campfire
Oh,
stories.
those are great.
Yeah, so like we have big shoes to fill
Of course,
as the dad. Like you don't, the amount of pressure that like fathers have for campfire stories is immense. Here we
there's a
go.
lot of
Wait,
pressure a lot of
campfire
places.
stories. Wait,
A lot of
but what
places.
else? What else do you like about your dad?
I think my dad really taught me my love for sports. I remember from an early age, he was there with me, kicking around a soccer ball. He coached me for a long time. He was always like reffing and sub coaching. I mean, him back in the day, he's always been super fit. I mean, he's been playing into his like till he got freaking a broken leg. Like he would just because his love for the
Right.
game, and like I think just that idea of just his love for sports, in college, he was on some super pro team for rowing and just like super impressive. And it's just so cool to see that love and aspiration. I think that really affected me. I think that really changed just how I thought about sports because a lot of people, they get like overworked and like pushed too hard. I think he was never really too much in that. He wasn't like always the most encouraging at times, but at the same time he wasn't like super overbearing and pushing to where it was still enjoyable for me. I think that really gave me my love for just sports and enjoying like that type of activities. I don't know. I think the last thing my dad really taught me was like just a work ethic. Like he is such
Yeah.
a good worker. And I think that, there's a lot of jobs that like that some fathers have that are just like terrible. And he doesn't have like the worst job ever, but like his commute for the longest time was awful, man. I'm talking about, you know, LA traffic. If anyone knows California, LA traffic is terrible. It's awful. It sucks. And he would do that every day, just like no complaints. He may have been complaining in his head, but he didn't tell them to us. So I think that's definitely aspirational to be just like to take it, just to be like, yeah, I do this and I don't care. At
Yeah.
least you think that. So
Yeah, that's what he shows you anyways,
I think that's
which
that's
is good.
definitely an important quality to have. I feel like is to have a certain demeanor as a father and not again you're protecting them from that mental strain of like oh you have a tough job or a rough day. You're not bringing that home on your family or your kids. You can tell your wife a little bit, but like you're not gonna say tell your kids to shut up because the work sucked today. That's not what a good father
Right, you
does.
don't need to bring
So
your work home.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. My dad did those things too, he coached me. He good work ethic, he taught me those too. Oh, man. Now here's a deep question
Yes.
for you. Like, what is one thing you wanna do differently than your dad, though?
I think the biggest thing I want to do differently than my dad's a great cook, man, but he never taught me how to cook. It's so frustrating. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was complaining about doing it. Maybe it was kind of like a chore, but like I just don't have memories of like him really pushing to teach me how to cook, and I really want that for my kids. So I feel like that's one thing I wish he did do differently. But there could have been plenty of other reasons, and I think that's one of the main things where I'm like, if he just really or teach me how to speak a different language as well. I think that would have been really cool. Okay, probably that was probably more on me. I probably was lazy and
That
didn't
was
want him
probably
to
you.
learn as much, but
There's, like, free apps you can get now. You could just go
probably a
do
little
it.
bit more on my end. How about you? What are some
I don't
things
know.
or do you want to do a
My
little
dad's
differently
kinda
than your dad?
quiet. My dad's kinda quiet, which is the opposite of me, so I don't think I'm gonna struggle with that, and I think I'm, gonna be that, but I would say, um and I don't have the best memory, so I'm sure it happened more often than that, but, like, maybe focus a little bit more sometimes on, like, just me and dad. Like, I had a nice lunch with my dad not too long ago, and I really enjoyed that time of me and him. And so just having that a little bit more one-on-one time with him is
Mm,
probably what I'm gonna try to do for my kids, especially since I do have 2 boys, like, making sure that my relationship with each of them is, strong and unique. Because my dad did that pretty much good for us, but, like, a little bit more communication and explaining things, probably is something I'm gonna try to do a little bit differently
yeah,
than
that's a
my
good
son.
goal for sure.
So I'm not upset with my upbringing if you were listening, but it's just different.
It's probably yeah. I
I'll
mean, it's hard. It's one of those things. Like I was saying, it's tough to be like, yeah, like this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm different. But it's
yeah,
like reality's gonna hit. But I think the idea of having a unique relationship with each of your kids is a cool, really good goal. I think it's easy to lose, especially when during the hustle and bustle of life.
right.
I don't know. I think besides that, I think maybe again, it was different. My dad wasn't a believer. Um, Back when he met my mom in early days. So I think that is another one of my goals though that I would do a little different. Is like I just really want to be like that head of the house, like leading them in that way of this is what I believe, this is why I believe it, and just try to teach them in the ways of the Lord like that. So I think that's a really big goal of mine that I would do differently too.
More weight, more pressure for you
Of
as a
course.
father, making sure that your kids follow the Lord. Yeah, it's a lot. Oh man.
I want to talk a little bit about that though. Just the idea of like the Lord being our Father as well. What are your thoughts and like how does that whole aspect of like Abba Father and that idea affect your role as a father?
So if I like, how do I incorporate the Lord into like my parenting style, like my
Yeah, or just
father?
like, how
Yeah.
people talk about like he is your father, he's our father, right? And that's like we go to him like a father. Like, how do
Hmm.
you use him as a father as an example of us being a father? Like what do you take? So like we talked about like what we take from our current fathers, right? Our existing fathers,
Right,
our
right, right,
human
right. But how do
fathers.
we take from the Lord?
Yeah, like how does his
He's
example
got
of
a lot of patience.
I mean, that's a great point. Go ahead, talk about it.
I mean, I truthfully, I don't think I've ever thought about this, but now that I am thinking about this, I would say, because like in where I'm at right now in my faith, like I'm just very thankful. Like my prayers are mostly just thank you. And like if I know someone that's not doing well, and I'll pray for them and ask for protection and guidance for them. But like most of the time, I'm sitting there just saying thank you for everything and like in different things and stuff like that. So I guess in that sense, I just really appreciate as a father what the Lord has given me and how he's blessed me and provided for me in that
Hmm.
sense, right? He's provided me two healthy boys. He provided me a healthy wife. He's a house to live in, food's on the table. We both work. And so I'm very just grateful for him giving me this life and helping me get here and kind of keeping me on that straight and narrow to be here. So in that sense, I really just appreciate um, I guess the guidance and helping me get to where I'm at today. And
Yeah,
that
that's
kind of that
big.
watchful hand on there for me. But that's a tough question because like I'm a very much just a thankful and like there's a reason for things happening if they're bad. I'm very much not someone that's gonna be like I'm not gonna curse God ever if something happens to me necessarily. Like I don't want to say that because like you never know what
Of
life's gonna
course, of
throw at
course.
you. But like, I'm very much in a moment right now where I'm just, yeah, sure, there's stressors and there's always going to be stressors, but I'm very much in a moment right now where I just want to be thankful.
That's huge. I think that's very important. I mean, every prayer is, supposed to, not supposed to, I don't want to say like, but like a lot, like prayer should be a lot of thankfulness, right? Because God has provided a lot. I think that's a great point. Um,
What about you?
I don't know. It's tough because it's like, again, God is like the perfect idea of a father, right? And it's like, how do you compare yourself to that, right? I think the biggest thing if I was to do that is just thinking about like discipline in
Mm,
terms of like preparing your kids as a father, like just like you said, like his idea of patience and disciplining us, like there has to have been some levels of discipline in order for us to grow, and I think that's really tough. There's a couple of verses I wanted to share about actually too, just about like discipline.
disciplining is a really hard part of
It's
parenting in
not
general.
easy, but I think it's still necessary, and I think it obviously there are different levels of like how you do it and when you do it, and who even does it. I think is a little important too. But Proverbs 13:24 talks about whoever spares the rod hates their child, but the one who
Yeah.
loves their child is careful to discipline them. Now, again, this was written different time, not saying that, rod is necessarily the correct answer, but to a certain extent, there needs to be some discipline. I think that is still important. I think that some people shy away from it sometimes just because, like you said, it's hard. It's not easy.
It's not
Um,
easy. You never know if you're doing it right.
exactly.
And
But it is important, I think, especially as a father to be.
what age do you start disciplining
There's
too?
so many. I
Like,
mean, again, there's so many different types of discipline you can do. Like, and it's definitely tough. It's a very delicate topic, I think, especially nowadays. But I think that it is important to do it and discuss it. And I think that,
yeah,
like, he
yeah,
obviously does it to us, and I think that is a good example of that. We should at least do that to our children, depending on what it is.
right.
Um.
Hit me with another verse. You got more. Go
Oh,
on.
I got more.
Go for it.
I think let's see. There are a lot of proverbs and psalms. They just, I mean, dropping the wisdom bombs on y'all, but
Yeah,
that's what
yes.
it's about.
Wisdom Psalms bombs.
Psalms 103:13 says, "As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him." I think there's like multiple things that touches on there, but I think a big thing is compassion. I think a lot of people think of fathers, like men, like big, strong, the ones who are, the hard. rock, right? The person who doesn't budge, the one who says no, right? I think that it's easy to get lost sometimes that fathers, should also have like a compassionate, fun, patient side to them as well. Like it's not just you're just the no guy. You're not just a bad cop, right? There's more to it. You need to be multifaceted. And I think that God's a perfect example of him being compassionate to us, to being, very loving and fun. I think there is like a level of that people don't see very often. It's not very talked about
Right.
quite often. I think it is still
Compassion's
important.
a one that I don't think anyone talks about. It's not talked about enough. Is
But
compassion,
it's
in my
important,
opinion.
it's
It's very
crazy.
important. If you were your kiddo and you were your own dad, would you like
Oh, oh,
yourself?
oh.
Yeah.
So so if I was in the
Your
place of my
dad,
kid.
yeah. You are your kiddo and you are your own dad.
Mhm.
Like, do you like yourself as a dad? Like, as your kid, you're like, and I know your kid's very young right now, but just play along. Like, you're looking up at your dad, which is you. Are you like, I'm very happy that he's my dad,
It's a good question. It's interesting, like I'm putting myself in my kids' shoes, even though they don't wear shoes
right?
yet.
What? You haven't put little
Um,
cute little booties on there yet?
I mean, they just go with socks, bare feet, and
Oh,
just
okay,
that's
yeah.
how I grew up. No,
Wild child. Right.
CPS don't come for me. I'm not putting shoes on my kid. Like, to be fair, let me just
What?
preface that she doesn't even walk yet. Okay, so that's not like there's nothing going on there.
To send my I sent my 9-year-old to school
She's running
barefoot.
off to school with no shoes. No, but
Yeah, do you like yourself as your own dad?
I
Like,
think
if you're a
so.
dad,
I think it
yeah.
all depends on, again, it's like okay, maybe it's kind of like an arrogant question, but like I like myself, but like our kids are gonna want something different
Sure.
from fathers. It's like
Right.
some kids want more structure from their fathers. Some kids want more fun from their fathers. I think the importance of being a father is like being adaptable, right? Like your kid's not always just going to want to play video games, like if you have a love for something and they don't want to do that, it's going to be tough, right? You're not going to want
Yeah.
to. But I think that's a super important aspect that I think, just from my own personal experience, seeing from other people and their experiences with their fathers, like if you're not flexible and willing to learn and adapt and like be into what your kids are into, like it could be anything. Like they could be interested in reading a different type of book, learning a different type of instrument. They could be interested in playing a different sport. They could be interested in learning a different thing. Like you can't just force them into a certain
Yeah.
facet of something and
Because
expect
you
them
like
to,
it.
and expect them to
Yeah.
like you, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
I think that idea of them looking up at you and like you being in that position is very dependent on like how they actually grow up, right? And what they actually become, because right now you could think you're doing great and you could be great, but at the same time, like that might change when they grow and they want
Mhm.
to do, I don't know, they want to be a pilot or something where you're not like, oh, like that's not something that I really wanted for you to do, right? I didn't want you to be away from your family, or like there's so many different things that they could do. So I think in general, yes. I think,
Mhm.
like you said earlier, I'm never going to be the perfect father that I always want to be, but I think I am working towards that goal. And I think as long as I'm being flexible and I'm taking care of their needs, then I think, sure.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know if that was even the
I
best
think
way to answer
that
that.
no, I think you answered that question. But like, I think the other thing too is like why communication is going to be really high up there and something I want to, because like, let's say, right, if that kid is like, if your kid's not enjoying what you guys are doing, I want to have a relationship enough with my own kid to where they can be like, Dad, I don't like this, or like they feel comfortable coming to me and knowing that I'm not gonna like get angry or
Yeah.
upset, right? So like pretty much all you just said, the only thing that really stuck with me too was like I kept thinking was like, man, if
The
as
only
long
thing
as
that
you
stuck
have
with me.
everything you just said was pointless, but the thing that kept coming back in my head while I was listening to you was like, yeah, as long as the kid has an open line of communication with me though, that's not going to be an issue,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I
Which, by the way,
think
I think my kids love me.
I just
I,
communicate
I
great
would
with
love
them.
me. I think I make mistakes, but I think I know based off my actions of my eldest that they do enjoy me, and I think I would enjoy me as a dad. I think that can be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mean, I definitely, personally, I'll just say this, going a little deep. I definitely did struggle with anger issues when I was growing up, and I think that that's not good, right? It's not something that a lot of people should be experiencing with coming from a father. I think a lot of fathers do struggle with that, whether it's because of they're being frustrated from work or family or other external issues. But I think that patience is key. I mean, I even have a verse for it. You ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready because I also, as you know, Danny, I have also struggled with anger.
Proverbs 16, again, another bomb of wisdom. Proverbs 16:32. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city.
That's impactful.
I think, and again,
That's
I'm
pretty
not saying
good.
I'm not I'm not saying I'm a pacifist, right? But at the same time, I think that patience is an unseen virtue in a lot of guys that isn't very. I mean, you think about it, right? A lot of guys are like, oh, like I'm all about the MMA, UFC, right? Like it's all about the guy who wins the fight, right? But at the same time, it's like you should be the type of person to control your anger. Obviously, there's unavoidable scenarios, but like just in general, um, you should teach your kids patience and have patience yourself to not have to get angry like that, and because anger is never good, right? You say things you don't mean, you say hurtful things that you do think about them. That's not good. You do things that personally aren't good. So I think that you touched on a huge part of being a father is just learning how to control anger and being very patient with your kids because there's a lot of times where they're going to test you.
All the time.
um a lot of times.
All the time.
um
I think God just sits up there and just laughs at us
yeah,
now.
you think
He's
you
like,
guys need to have
"Yeah, it sucks
patience.
being a father, doesn't it?" I'm glad you
He's
get to
like,
learn,
I
Trevor and
have all
Danny.
the patience. Oh,
Like, what is one characteristic or like attribute of yourself that you want to be in your kids?
that I want to pass down to my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have a couple of them that are pretty choice.
So
So
give it up. What you
I
got?
think like you said, I think laughter is a great, joking is a great connection for people. And I think out of everything, I just want my kid to be confident and not too fearful and a little like live life like God wants us to, right? To glorify Him and to be positive about it. Like a lot of people go through life very sad and somber because they're going through difficult things. But I think it's important to have fun and just and share the light, of Him more often than people think. Because I think a lot of people are just too brought down by reality of just sin.
Yep.
How about
That's
you?
pretty much what my answer. That's what I
Oh,
answered to
okay,
even earlier. It's like
okay.
I want my kid to be able to find happiness even in dark times, like because I can do that. I can find some good in the light in the dark, and so just for them to honestly not have too many regrets and just understand that despite what you're going through, this you can find those blessings. You can find stuff to be thankful for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope y'all appreciate our point of views. I'm not going to say it's advice because
Don't end the episode. This has to go for 2 more hours. This is a sermon.
I'm not even sure how much advice we have to give with our
We
collective
gave zero advice. We just rambled.
collective 4 years of fatherhood. What
I
what
don't think
would
anyone learned anything.
Well, okay, so let's go into the joke portion and then we'll end on a little advice section because people
Okay.
need to have something to learn from this episode or else it's just going to be
This has been a joke.
um talking about having fun and laughs and stuff. I want to hear a couple of your like just pristine best dad jokes you have.
I don't. I'm not. Listen, I'm not a stand-up comedian in the sense I'd have to work the audience. Okay, like if you give me the microphone and I'm up on stage, like I'm just working the audience because I got no
You'll make
materials.
fun
I
of
just have
all
to
the
be
people.
reactive.
You
I
really
mean,
don't
hold
have like
on,
a
hold on.
go-to dad joke?
I have okay, hold on. It's very late, and like I said, I've been sleeping in my kid's bed because everyone's sick in this household. So give me a second.
Oh, I
Um,
thought I thought that was a joke.
no,
I was like, what?
no. Actually, yeah, we're all. I've been literally sleeping in my kid's bed because he's got some sickness and he's waking up all
Oh,
the time. It's great. All right, hold on.
I can go first if you want me to go first and give you a little time. Because I know you're not a stand-up comedian.
But like, I have the joke. It's like right there, but I'm going to mess it up. It's something along the
Oh
lines of
no.
like, what's the difference between a duck and a dollar bill?
Bill.
Yeah, one has a bill on its face and the other has a face on its bill. Like, I know I messed it up, but that's the
I mean, it's a dad joke, so I think it's as good as you're gonna get.
Oh
I
my
don't think it was that
gosh.
bad. I think it's pretty similar. I think maybe
I
it's
messed
just
it up.
you
But
probably messed it up a little
no,
bit.
it's bad. It's bad. I messed it up too. And so it made it worse.
Do you want to hear my favorite?
But like someone was some of the other one like so here's my example, right? And then I'll let you go. But like someone was talking about how they were speaking to someone on the phone the day, and like they were saying it's a lot of crap they were saying stuff like that. And I said I was like, it must have been a stinky phone call. Got him. Crap, stinky.
So you're more of the dad who does like the side
Yep.
remarks, like the one
That's what
line.
I'm saying. I'm reactive.
Ah,
I'm not
okay,
gonna
okay,
get up
okay,
there and
okay.
have like knock knock
Got you, got
jokes.
you, got you.
But you hit me. Are you a knock knock joker?
I'm not full. Okay, I don't like my jokes. Knock knocks are too long. People lose people sometimes. You're like knock knock. Who's there? Oh yeah, yeah. A little quicker. But I'll give you my longest joke. Okay. How many stormtroopers does it take to change a light bulb?
Mm.
None, because they're all on the dark side. As you see, big Star Wars fan. So
Boom, got him.
No, a couple other ones that I like using as a father. What was it? Oh yeah. Who won the oh gosh, how was you're right. It's like you have to remember the formatting. Who
Yeah, I
won
know.
the neck decorating contest?
Neck decorating contest? I don't know.
No
I
one.
don't know.
It was a tie. I don't know why. I like jokes where there's no answer because always just a none or no one.
Yeah, like the joke is that it's like a witty thing. Yep.
I think the only other
Good
joke
one.
that I've heard recently in the dad joke that I was like wasn't even 100% a dad joke, but it was like because I was talking to someone else about being a dad, and he was like, yeah, what does the dad say when he puts his? Because I work with like cars. What does a dad say when he puts his car in reverse? And it was something like, "Oh, this takes me back," or something like that. It was so stupid.
Grown.
But that's like the most realistic like life dad joke I have. So
There are some people that like you will meet throughout like work and stuff like and they just have them.
oh,
They
they have
just
them
have like
ready to
12
go.
and you're just like you're subject to sit there and listen to them. Like, okay, hopefully one sticks with me. And then like, you also in the back of your head you're praying, please don't be racist, inappropriate, sexist. Like you're in the back of your head just
There's
like
a lot of
I don't
those
want to have
too. There's
to
a lot
I
of
don't want to
those.
have to file something. Like please don't.
So erase your memory in little Men in Black
Yep.
pen.
Exactly.
Oh man, but I'm okay. Please don't roast us. We're I'm the newest dad. Okay, so I'm definitely still
Oh,
learning and on the fly here.
roast us,
So,
please. I'm ready for the roast.
but I think as we both, Trevor and I both agree that there is a lot of good to come from having fun. I think that's something that we really both want to instill in our kids. So.
Yeah. I think it's pretty
So
good.
to wrap this up, I wanted
Yep.
to know what advice would you have for a father to be or a new father pending 9 months incoming? What would be your advice for the near future, for the long, whatever you want to say?
So like if you're not a dad yet, but you're expecting to be a dad, take every advantage of the free time you have. Okay. And if you are a dad of one kid and expecting your second kid, take every advantage of the free time that you have.
If
You may
you're a
not
dad
think you
with two
have
kids
any.
expecting
You
another
have
one.
now with two kids and expect no, we're not there yet. But but you have so much free time. It's ridiculous. Just go on and just go leave the house randomly. You don't get to do that once you're a dad. Just go leave the house. Just go walk, do things. Don't worry about putting boots or like a stroller together. Like just go. You can do that
You
and
can still
enjoy
do a
it
stroller if you want to,
because
but
you'll forget. You'll forget. But no, that's the joke, right? But ultimately, be present and enjoy those little moments, even when like your kid is just like when a little older, because in the toddler phase, like the first time your kid says like they love you on their own without you saying it to them first, because obviously they repeat what you say. Like the first time, like it's such a special moment. So just take a second, get off your dang phone, read them a book. Because the kids will notice when you're on your phone. Try it, and that's something I struggle with, and I want to get better at. But get your phone away from you and just be around your kids and interact with them. Is what I would say is a big word of advice, because they're going to see that, and that's going to be how you start your relationship, and you don't want to have your relationship start with a phone in your hand.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think it's
Be
it's
present.
it's something that's very, very uncommon nowadays, but it's hard. It's hard to not just gravitate towards your phone, but you're right. They're always watching. They're always aware. So,
They don't have a phone, they're just watching you sit on your phone
now
and think of
then they
that.
want your phone.
It's nothing sadder than your kid being like, "Dad, get off your phone," which has happened to
Oh
me.
no. Oh, breaks my
Yeah,
heart.
I
I
know, I'm a
promise to
horrible
never do that.
father. Yep, that will never happen to you, Danny. Dude, I have to do that with you. If you were my father, I'd be PO'd at you. I'd be like, "Danny, get off your phone!"
Oh man.
He's like, "I just gotta finish this RuneScape run.
I
Hold
think
on."
that's how it goes. Yeah. I think that's good advice. I think my advice for anyone, any fathers who are expecting to be fathers soon or even planning to be fathers, I think my advice would be man, I don't want to be too similar to you. And I gotta think of something a little different.
I know. It's a really good advice, because like that's literally reality of it. Like you just don't understand before you're a parent like how nice it is to just be able to go to a movie theater and not have to worry about a kid, or have to like just go out for coffee even, or go out for lunch, and you don't have a kid screaming at you. Because it's not like your kids are going to scream in public. It's going to happen. Like you can have great children and they're
Don't
still
scare
going to
them
be
all away. Jeez.
this, and children are terrifying.
I think
What was I thinking?
if I had to
No.
give advice that was a little different, I think it would be I think sleep is definitely one of the things that a lot of people say is the hardest to get. And I think that I didn't really completely understand, because I was like, oh yeah, I pulled an all-nighter before. I've stayed up doing homework, I've stayed up playing games, whatever the case is, right? I'll go to bed at 4 a.m. is nothing new. But I think almost having a plan about how you're going to get more energy, how you're going to like practice taking naps, because I wasn't really a napper before, and it took me a while to get used to like taking naps and rejuvenating yourself, um, or even just needing less dependence on sleep, right? Whether it's like coffee, energy drinks, whatever. Not saying that I'm a health advisor. I'm giving you life advice to get through being a parent. But
I love coffee,
I think
man.
that sleep is definitely everyone always says it, it's the most common thing that people talk about when you have a kid, but I think that sleep is definitely the missing key, right? Either learn how to get less sleep, learn how to get the sleep when you have small periods of time, or like even just finding something to do when you have to stay up for like hours and
Yeah.
hours on end. I know some people just watch stuff, but I think there's, if I was to go back and do it again, I mean, I'm gonna have another kid, so the goal is to do it again. But like my point is, like, if I was to just redo some of the stuff, I think that if you spend a lot of time awake, like you have a lot of time to do stuff, be productive, or at least do different things, and just like zonk out and just watch something for hours and hours.
See, I have so much. I want to talk more about this now, because, like, with our second one, like, I watched all the new Planet of the Apes movie, and like, I'm never good. That's like a core memory for me now, holding my newborn baby, just taking the night shift, just watch it.
I
Because,
mean, I
like,
think
yes, I will look down and be like, "Oh, you're so sweet," but then I'll be like, the impending weight of my eyelids. I'm like, wait a second, I have to stay awake and hold this thing
I'm not
and
saying
watch
that it's
Planet of the Apes.
bad and necessarily, but I think that
But yes, there
there's
are productive things you can do while you're having to stay
doesn't
awake.
even
I
need to
do
be
agree with that.
productive. I
Yeah.
think it's more just like, I don't know. I think sometimes if you're watching something, that it will take away from the moment of being present with the baby.
Yeah.
Sometimes, So I think it's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
That's
have some
just,
present moments.
yeah. Ultimately, my
I
advice is
also
just the
think
same as
that,
Trevor.
like,
Just be present.
yeah, just be present. It's the same. But we're gonna talk about this still. I also think that, like, I am completely blanking what I had. I had another thing. So I'm still this is okay, so sleep.
Pause.
Okay, yes. Obviously I need sleep. Okay, it's clear. But like I think there's a certain part of like nature takes effect, right? Because like I never thought I could be this sleep deprived and still function. Like before I had kids, like if I didn't get to sleep into 11, which hasn't happened in years, like I thought I wouldn't be able to function. Okay,
Your body
now
adapts.
I'm like 6 hours of sleep, dude. We're doing good. Like I don't know where the Nate and Danny. I don't think it's happened for you yet. Like I truly just don't think your body has
Not
adapted
that
to
far
no
yet.
sleep. No. But like I need 4 to 5 hours of sleep. And yes, I will eventually need a nap. I can't do that 3 days in a row. I get 6 hours of sleep, man. I'm cooking. I'm awake all night, all day at work. I'm ready to go. Right? I got this. I'll edit this Tubbie Talk episode later tonight. I got this. But you know why? I think I drink a lot of coffee too.
Oh,
I
there we
drink a lot of
go. That's
coffee
the other
because
half of it.
I drink
The
a lot
flip
of
side of the
coffee.
coin.
And I'm sure that can't be good for anything about me. I was playing this game the other day, Counter-Strike. Maybe you've
I
heard of
thought you
it.
were going to play a
And
game of
like
like
my
how many
voice
cups of
cracks.
coffee I've had a
No,
day.
no, no. I like my voice cracks too. Like when I play, like I'll be like, you know, like, and it's like, dude, this guy was like, "Yo, I think you should probably lay off the coffee." He had no idea. So,
He
he's like, "I
knew.
think you
He
should lay off the
knew.
coffee and drink some more water because it's drying out your throat, bud." I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
"Wow, no, you suck an egg."
I think that is one of the things that, I mean, just not even just advice, but just letting people know, almost just a PSA, if you will. You're going to want to go to bed early as possible. Like people are like, oh, I'm going to stay up late as a parent, like there are certain aspects of like, yeah, I want to enjoy as much free time as I can. But at the same time, sometimes you're just like, I'm so tired. I'm done. I'm out. Listen, 9
Just
o'clock
get
hits,
some
the
rest.
baby's done. I'm going to go to bed too.
But make sure you do have like time for you and the missus too.
Of course, of
Like
course. There
you
is like a
sacrifice a
level
little
of
sleep if that means you can spend some quality time with the
there is like a
missus.
level of bonding that still needs to happen. But
Yeah.
similar to the nap portion, you're kind of it's funny because again, it's like different levels every 3 years. You learn that okay, I have more responsibilities now. I need to be more mature. Time management changes completely. You thought you had to figure it out from college. No, you thought you figured out how to figure it out after
Nah.
you got a job. No, you thought you figured it out after you joined your life with someone else and got married. No, now you
No.
have another little being to worry about to add to
Were
all
you gonna
the
say demon?
mix.
Like what?
But your time management definitely changes, and you have to again adapt. You just gotta be flexible, or else you're just gonna pass out every 5 seconds.
There, like, yeah, I think we shared very early on in one of the early episodes, but like, yeah, I remember there was a time with the first one where I was sleeping, like sitting up in a chair holding this, and like my kids are big kids, like they're all in the 90th percentile, but like, it's still so small little thing that you're like so fragile, and you're like, I need sleep, but I can't. Oh man, but it's also fun and worth it.
That
Like it
is
is, it's
being a father is
biggest blessing.
great. Trust us.
Yeah,
Run.
it's the biggest blessing you can have. No, run towards it. Yeah.
Um, but
No, it's
um,
great.
but happy Father's Day to everyone out there who is a father or do appreciate all your fathers out there because they're definitely a big part of all of our lives, and we're definitely thankful for the fathers in our lives. And we're excited to be fathers as well. Um, Anything you want to say before we sign off, Trev?
Well, yeah, I mean, you just had a perfect outro, but what we didn't do is what the girls did is what is your ideal Father's Day like treat and like scenario?
Oh my gosh, just sit me down, breakfast in bed, video games in my hand.
What's their breakfast though? Like that's because biscuits and gravy, like that's not what I used to like, but like right now, like man,
Mm,
I'm main biscuits and gravy.
no,
Yeah, I know you're a no, but like for me,
that's a no for me, dog. I
mwah.
had a nice breakfast burrito with some spicy,
Yeah, you're
some
talking to
good hot
put that
sauce,
in my
and
biscuits.
there's so many. Yeah, I think that would.
Orange juice? Are you orange juice kind of guy in the morning?
I
What would
would
you be?
dice a nice glass of orange juice, not with an omelet
Yeah,
though, or a burrito. I would
yeah.
say more of
Well,
maybe like a beer. No, I'm just
I did. I'm okay. A beer, burrito,
No, I
orange
think
juice. What a weird.
I just think water. Honestly, I think a nice glass of
You do drink
water.
a lot of
I do.
water.
Orange juice is good.
Bottle of water, sir.
Or
Glass, you wild.
yes, yeah.
Bottle of
What about
water.
you? What would be your favorite way to spend Father's Day?
With my children, of
Of
course.
course, of course.
Yeah, helping my wife around the house, of course. No, like I'm with you. Like breakfast, I don't need a breakfast in bed. I can get out of bed and go to the table because then I'm gonna be able to eat more. like, like,
The more you
oh
get,
yeah, but like biscuits and gravy, potatoes and eggs. Like I want like a breakfast is the biggest part for me for Father's Day. Like the rest of the dinner and stuff. Like trust me, I'm not gonna say no to like a really good curry or like Alfredo or something. Like again, just creamy. Like give me all the fats
goodness.
and butters and
All Trevor's Father's Day is just him being as unhealthy as possible.
yes, give me Panda Express.
Oh
Give me
my
some
gosh.
sodas.
You know what?
I don't give
Honestly,
this.
my
I just
best
want
Father's Day
food.
would just be as much sleep as possible. Just sleeping in. That's
That
all
is
I really
not
need.
true.
I don't care about
That is
anything
not. That
else.
cannot. No,
I just
I
want to
don't need.
sleep in.
No,
Oh.
honestly, playing like a now because my kiddo's getting a little older, like playing like this Father's Day, like playing like I don't think he's really able to play a game yet, but like playing a first video game on like Father's Day would be pretty fun too. So like something like that too. But yeah, a good movie, good food, good unhealthy food. Maybe Candy can make me a coffee because she's pretty good at that. And I don't need a massage, Kennedy, or anything like that. I'm good. But just so y'all know, I did give her a nice massage on Mother's Day.
You really
Okay,
don't think
for
you need a
those,
massage after all that stress?
I don't need
I can
no,
hear it in your voice,
no.
like that guy said. You need a massage.
I need a massage, and they're good deep
No,
tissue.
but all
Yeah,
jokes
could you
aside,
schedule me?
I think I'm really excited for this Father's Day just because it's going to be my first. And
I'm
I think
excited
just
for
spending
you.
time with the family is going to be great. You know, there's going to be like going out to a park or the beach or something. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for you too. Congratulations.
Congratulations to me and
Thank you,
all the
fathers.
fathers out there.
Yep.
Hopefully y'all have a good Father's Day and get to
Keep up the good work.
sleep or eat in bed or do whatever your heart's desire for 1 minute. Then you got to go back to being a father.
This is the remember that reel is this is like the 20th least celebrated holiday.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like we're number 20,
Yep.
guys. This like no one celebrates this
You know,
day.
the
They're gonna
biggest
forget
issue
about
again
it.
as well with Father's Day celebrating is that people don't know what to get their fathers as well. Like it's always just like
No.
socks or something or weird. So
Yeah, or a tie,
yep,
or
I
socks,
love a good tie. I love a
or
good
like
tie.
work gloves, or like tools to work on the
I
house.
mean, I would always take another tool. Let's be honest. I'm a
Okay,
little
all right. Yeah,
stereotypical.
some tools
Love
are
me
actually
some
okay. But
tools.
like give me a gift card to Steam, okay? like give me something that takes me away from my family, okay?
Stop being a father for a second.
Yeah.
But
All right.
thanks for listening, everyone. We fathers here at Tubbie Talk appreciate y'all, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day. Bye.
Adios. Hey everyone, Danny here. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Don't forget to give us a follow on all the socials and subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcast. See you on the flip side.